Welcome to the 2022 Kentucky Bourbon Festival and the first edition of the Bourbon 30 Talk Show. This is sponsored by Great Western Malting. Welcome, everybody, to the 2022 Kentucky Bourbon Festival. How's everybody doing? Having a good time? It's an amazing thing to watch over the course of the afternoon as the shade spreads over the trees and how everybody stays pocketed under there and get a bigger crowd as the evening goes on. Nobody wants to be out in the sun today. I don't blame them. But thank God for that breeze, right? It was grim the last couple of days. My name is Steve Coombs. I am the host of the Bourbon 30 Talk Show, and I also am the director of programming and content for the festival, so I do the seminars and things like these and just basically have a fun job most of the time. And this is like one of the most fun parts, to get to talk to these people who actually make the whiskey, present the whiskey, sell it, and get it into our hands so we can drink it. And this crew, for me, this is a privilege for me to talk to this crew from Bardstown Bourbon Company. Anybody a fan of Bardstown Bourbon Company? Who doesn't love that restaurant? And we're hoping, a little technical difficulty going on there. Is that right?
You're good.
Sorry, a little touch of the hip right there in front of everybody.
We're good now.
At any rate, I want to introduce these good people from Bardstown Bourbon Company. You know, some are customer-facing, some aren't, so maybe you'll learn a new name or two. To my direct right is Dustin. Dustin, what's your last name? You already
Reid.
told me. Dustin Reid. Only 4 letters, and I couldn't remember it. Dustin Reid, who is the curator of the Whiskey Museum there and does a lot of other stuff tied to the tours, which are never-ending, right?
Never ending. Always staying busy with them.
Nick Smith, who is the head distiller. So he makes the good liquid that everybody's going to be drinking here. Right? Everybody's got to go to Bardstown Bourbon and taste their whiskey?
Yes.
Welcome, Nick.
Yes.
And Samantha Montgomery, a longtime friend of mine. Thank you so much for all you've done for the Bourbon Festival. She is the National Brand Ambassador and Cocktail Queen for the company. I threw that on there because I think it fits.
I love it. It fits.
You like it? You like it? All right. Excellent. So what do y'all want to talk about? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. Let's talk about whiskey first. Nick, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh.
I want you to tell us when the namesake Bardstown Bourbon will come out. When are we going to see that on the market? We've loved all the fusion, all the discovery, all the cool stuff, all the 50 gajillion other contract things that have come out.
The cool stuff made the wait not so bad. So
That's right.
we plan on releasing in January of 23 the first standalone. It will be Origin Series Bardstown Bourbon Company product. No blend. True mash bill, standalone by itself.
What is the mash bill on this?
That one is going to be a 20% wheat. So 68 corn, 20 wheat, 12 malted barley, and will be a bottled in bond product.
Nice. But actually 6 years old, have I heard? Have I heard
Yes.
that correctly?
6-year-old.
So did you just think at that time that 100 proof was the right way to go? That's where that spirit spoke loudest?
Not at that time. It develops as it comes along. So we're going to have 4 different expressions come out in 2023 that'll be standalone by themselves. They will all be done a little bit differently. So we will have the bottled in bond. We will have a high rye bourbon that will be a standalone by itself. We will have the 95.5 rye whiskey.
Awesome.
That Dan Calloway is going to tweak a little bit and finish off in cherry wood barrels. And we are also going to have some single barrel availability as well.
That's fantastic. I'm looking forward to that. So,
We all are.
What's it? We all are. Yeah. Are you? You're definitely. You're looking forward to people quitting asking you about this. When's it coming?
But we've had
Good
so
dog.
many great things along the way, it hasn't been asked too bad. So
That's good. That's true. We got to taste Fusion 8 thanks to Sam the other day. It was delicious. Big and round. Good texture. Great mouthfeel.
2
Good.
Bardstown 4-year-old recipes that went into that make 70% of the blend. So those recipes are getting a little bit older that go into the Fusion series as well as our product getting older.
Excellent. Now, how many distilling clients do you have now in the collaborative program?
Last year alone, we produced for 40 different customers and did 44 different mash bills in last year.
How hard is that to organize?
It keeps me up quite a bit at night, but it's not too bad. It makes every day fun. You know, a lot of our customers and collaborative partners are here this weekend, and seeing them get to celebrate their product is awesome. Getting to work with them every day is awesome. I see one of them standing back in the back right there, Greg Snyder, giving us some support right there with Chicken Cock Whiskey. So that's what makes every day fun for me is I'm not doing the same thing over and over again every day. I've done 60 mash bills in the 6 years and always different. And then I get to work with other distillers like Greg himself or other companies that have consulting master distillers. So I learn something new every day.
I was going to say, do you learn a lot from these veterans like Greg?
Yes. Because the question I get the most is, how are you doing this job? You're so young. So getting to learn from those veterans that have been in the industry a long time every day is what's really brought me along in my career as well.
Are you walking around here going, made it, made it, made it? No,
You know,
no,
that's
not
always
made it.
kind of a joke, but a thing that I will be extremely proud of once my career comes to the end, that I'll be able to sit down at a bar and look across at it, and half of the products know that I had a touch on that product. So that's going to be really neat once my career is over, or even during the career, that to know when you can look across the bar and you had something to do with every single one of those products that's on the shelf.
That's really cool. Speaking of the bar and the person who had a big role in setting it up, talk to us a little bit, Samantha, about the vision for that massive bar at Bardstown Bourbon Company that has everybody's whiskey on it, not just BBC.
Yeah, so it was a cool concept. You know, I was a bartender before I came on to the company, and you know, had been in Kentucky only a year, had done a few tours, and you know, from what I had seen before I started working at Bardstown Bourbon was, you know, what I think people are used to, which is seeing the brand's product and an old fashioned, and that's kind of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we came in, they, I think, said, we want to have the biggest whiskey collection in the state, you know, or the country, whatever, like the biggest. So that was a lot of fun. That was like getting open-ended check to go do whatever you wanted with.
Release a kid in the candy store.
So we bought every whiskey. We bought, you know, gins, tequilas. We came up with an exceptional cocktail program that has been handed off to Mara Harding since those of us that started it have kind of grown into the company, and she's doing an incredible job too. But it's great because it's hospitality centric, right? So a lot of brands are very brand centric, and I think it was an amazing vision to say brand second, guest experience first. So if you're burnt out on bourbon, or you're there with a friend and you're kind of just tagging along, and maybe you're not trying to drink bourbon all day, have a margarita, have a glass of wine, you know, whatever makes your experience better for you, like we want to be able to provide that. So
And I bet that makes the bartender's job more fun too, right? To have the variety.
yes.
You can only make so many old fashions.
Yeah. The old fashions are great. Barrel aged old fashions, we make 50 gallons at a time.
That's amazing.
Which is fun. It's a lot of product. It's quite
How many gallons of simple would go into that?
Oh man, I'll tell you, it's about 44 cases of bourbon, and each case being like 6 to 12 bottles. So I don't even know. It's
a number of gallons.
It's kind of like a mad scientist crazy. Like we just kind of throw the bourbon in, and then we start adding tasting until we're happy with what we have.
Is everybody sitting around with a big bunch of bitters?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And when you're batching in that like large of a volume, you can get really nitty gritty with like, you know, small increments of things that make tiny differences. Like it's really hard, if probably impossible, to recreate our barrel aged old fashioned as a single cocktail because of how much we're making at a time. It's fun.
Do you keep it in the barrel the whole time, or at some point do you have to take it out and maybe store it in something that can be refrigerated and sealed? And
no, that's the beautiful thing about old fashions is that everything in there, you know, doesn't spoil at room temperature. So we keep it in the barrel.
Cocktail, I love it.
Yeah, we keep it in the barrel, and it actually goes into our rick house and ages there with all the rest of the barrels until it's ready to serve.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So how many people, last question for you, that go off the board at the bar? I mean, are 90% drinking bourbon and you have 10% asking for non-whiskey drinks, or?
I would say that's probably accurate, about 90-10. Yeah. Once somebody sees a margarita or, a slushie, we have awesome bourbon slushies. You gotta go. And people know that our cocktail program is good, so I love it when I see people that ask one of the bartenders, like, surprise me, like, make me something.
Yeah.
Because that's when they get to have fun and show off what they can do. So
Well, speaking of being given a blank check, I would imagine you had a nice budget, Dustin.
Yeah, typically, I get quite a good budget to be able to stock that vintage library that we have there. Currently, there's about 500 bottles in there.
And so what do you consider vintage and worthy of that library?
So I'm really trying to find stuff from like the 70s, 80s is really the kind of time frame I'm really trying to stock with now. A lot of people that are coming in to do tours and different things like that, they either drank those bottles before, their grandpa had that bottle, so kind of familiar with seeing different things like that. And that's kind of where bourbon was at its best taste-wise for a lot of people, is the 70s and 80s time frame.
We actually had an 89 Wild Turkey earlier this morning.
Delicious, great.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The texture, just really robust. Perfectly oaked, I would think. I have no idea what the age was on that, but it was terrific.
Is that what you always start your day with instead of
Yeah, we were
coffee,
joking.
or-
It was there. We were like, yeah, exactly. Not typically that early, but Randy was kidding. We had pours like that because it was there. And Randy, the head of the festival, said, way to go, Dean Martin. It's like, just that. It's a home stretch day. Where do you find these things?
Oh, a lot of it's through like private acquisitions, through like auctions, different things like that. I mean, a lot of different bourbon groups, bourbon clubs. And then since I've been doing it for a few years now, a lot of people kind of reach out to me as they find old bottles. Being with the Bardstown Bourbon Company, doing tours out of that library, I get emails every week, people saying, hey, I got this bottle at my house, or hey, I want information about this. So people are always kind of just reaching out, bringing them to us now. It used to be a lot harder to find. I work very closely with Jack Groves from D.C., Bill Thomas
Sure,
up there.
uh-huh.
He helps me tremendously find different things, source older bottles, help validate, the authenticity of different things and stuff like that.
What's people's reaction when they walk into that room, that beautiful
Oh,
tasting room?
they love it. As soon as they walk in, I'm just seeing some of the old bottles, especially like, the old Stitzelweller, the Pappies, the Prohibition era. We have a great collection of Prohibition bottles, starting back from 1892 all the way to, the 1930s. Probably about 40 bottles or so that fall in that time period, and everything is available by the pour. So a lot of people like to come in and be able to buy ounces of those different things that we offer.
What's the priciest pour?
We have a Van Winkle 16-year. That one's right around $2,800 right now currently.
For a pour.
For a pour, yep.
Is that a Cordy Brothers?
That
pour
one's
by
the
any
one with the
chance?
red wax that was
Oh,
on
okay,
it.
yep.
That the famous story about the Maker's Mark lawsuit and all that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
pretty popular bottle. It's about half full in there right now. So
And $2,800 a pour. Is that a single ounce or two?
1 ounce. Yep,
1
all
ounce.
pours in there are 1 ounce.
Pocket change, right? Can't you find that in your couch? Right?
Yep.
But it's about half full. So
Yeah, about half full. So we poured everything in there has been poured out of almost at this point. I'm always bringing in new bottles. The most commonly poured piece we have in there is probably our Chessman series. We have the Old Crow Chessman series. We have the full set of it. There's about 40 pieces that make up that set. Each one of those tastes a little bit different. They were all distilled in 1959s when those came out.
that was not United, National Distillers.
National Distillers, yep, correct.
That's right.
Yep.
How do you preserve those? Once you've got them open, I mean, are you spraying some argon gas? in
Argon's the
there?
biggest way to do it. Try to push out as much of the oxygen as possible. Try to seal it as fast as you can. Decanters are a little more hit or miss because you can't see the liquid that's inside of them when you purchase them to begin with. So you're kind of always taking the risk when you buy like a dusty decanter for sure.
So you said more people are calling you all the time. Are they excited to try to squeeze some profit out of you, like a lot of profit?
Yeah, it depends on the bottle or who calls, but some people, assuming we're a bigger company, assume that we'll pay a lot more than other things. But we're always trying to get fair market value on a lot of different
Do
things
you
like
just
that.
sometimes laugh and hang the phone up?
No, I always entertain everything. I like to hear all the different bottles that are out there, and kind of see if we could come up to a price, try to show them where.
Thanks
it's
for
at.
that offer.
Right. Sometimes it could be like that, though. Sometimes they're a little crazy.
Nick, do you? I mean, so you're in charge of the new stuff. Do you ever have to take a break and get to the old stuff to reset your palate?
Every now and then. I like when I get invited to the tastings in the Vintage Library. So that's usually the best part of my job.
There's no employee discount for that?
No employee discount on any of the alcohol, unfortunately. But when I get invited to
That's the law.
tastings, that's usually picked up by somebody else. So,
All right, what do you guys drink typically when you're not on the job?
Neat bourbon.
Bourbon?
No, I said
Bourbon?
neat bourbon.
yeah. My go-to for Bardstown is the Fusion series for me. I have a sweeter, lighter palate myself, so that hits home for me. It's sweet up front, smooth and mellow on the way down. So the Fusion's my go-to most every day.
So there's no bourbon burnout for you guys?
Oh, I get
Definitely.
bourbon burnout sometimes. But I would say that, like, of all the people, I am kind of tasting a lot more day to day, all day, at stuff like this. That's, what I do. So sometimes at the end of the day, I want a Coors Banquet and just,
So that's your shelter beverage when you just got to get
Oh,
ready
yeah,
for bourbon?
yeah.
Coors Banquet.
I just don't want to think about it. Yeah, pop
You
open
like
a
that
Coors-
hefty
I do. I
feel
love-
in your hand?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
Those
a
old bottles.
good old country boy from Bardstown right here. So a Bush Light, Bush Latte is usually
Busch Latte.
is usually my go-to, my guilty pleasure, especially hot days. I like to play golf as well. So when it's super hot outside, Bush Light's usually my go-to. But as far as bourbon, Fusion series is definitely my everyday sipper.
What about you, Dustin?
Bourbon, honestly, mainly all the time. Neat bourbon. Fusion for the summertime. For the wintertime, I love the Discovery series. A bolder product, deeper flavors in there. Higher proof product that we offer. Usually those are around the 114 proof or higher. So
Nice. I tend to run to tequila, gin. I like it all. But bourbon definitely is the mainstay at our house. I get so many samples sent to me as a whiskey writer that we're kind of overwhelmed by it. I want to go. There's some signs around here that say no alcohol past this point. I want to put one of those on like some room in my house when I have to run to the tequila or the gin. I think it'd be a funny sign. My wife probably wouldn't laugh, though.
I'm sure you can make some friends here this weekend if you need to get rid of any of those bottles that are piling up on you.
Absolutely. So, how does one get into the whiskey library? Is that what it's called, the library or the museum?
we call it the Vintage Whiskey Library.
Whiskey
We
library.
actually host all of our daily tastings out of there. They're on the 15-minute mark of the hour. We'll host those out of there. Just our standard tastings. We'll bring people in there to be able to see that room
So
also.
it's not, you got to have a secret password to get in.
Nope,
kind
nope.
of Speakeasy style.
We want everybody to be able to see it. And like I
Like fanning themselves with money.
Yeah, well, I would say we want everybody to be able to see it. There's really nothing special to be able to get in there. You can order the pours directly from your table. If you're eating lunch with us still, we'll bring the bottle out to your table, pour it for you there. Kind of let you get some pictures and kind of see the bottle. and
Talk
things
about
like
why
that.
that's so important. Why people will actually bring the bottle to the table when it's something that's special.
Honestly, it's for just so you can actually make sure it's what you're really getting, what we're actually pouring for you. And then a lot of times people do like to showcase those pictures and show like their friends different things that they're drinking. And then it's great for us too to be able to show that online when they start sharing those pictures. People start seeing those. More people know, hey, they might have a vintage library. Go check that out. So
That's got to be a fun job to be able to bring something special like that out to the customer.
yeah,
And
it's awesome. And seeing their
They're
face
happy
being
when
able
they
to
see
try
you?
something. Yeah, they love being able to try something. A lot of times it's something they've been wanting to try for years, something they've had a hard time being able to locate in their area and different things like that.
How
And
many
some
ti-
of the Prohibition ones that he talked about, I think those are the coolest because it still has the prescription on the back, like 3 tablespoons every so often. So I don't know what a copay today would be to get that at the doctor's office, but that's really neat to actually see that on the back for how often you're
Oh
supposed
my
to
gosh,
take
that's
your
funny.
medicine to cure that cough.
What is the copay on Prohibition whiskey? Oh my gosh. Yeah, have you ever had the unfortunate experience of opening a dud? I mean, something that was just flat and gone.
Yeah, it happens actually. Like I said, with the decanters, about 30, I'd say 30% of them will be bad when you open them if they weren't stored correctly. And the main thing is you just can't see that liquid, so you're always taking that risk when you buy those different decanter style bottles.
Only dud bottle I've ever tasted was an H&H, and it was so oxygenated it tasted like the smell of wet cardboard.
Yeah,
Is
the
that
smell-
about right?
Yeah, that's the smell that we'll get. And a lot of the older just bourbons have that kind of smell to them anyway. A lot of people kind of get that musty smell out
sad
of them.
that-
Yeah.
Must be.
It's a great bottle to have to pour out.
Yeah, there was no cocktail, there was no redemption whatsoever in that bottle. Sam, speaking of dud experiences, how many times do people say to the bartender, "I don't like this. I don't like this cocktail that you just put so much effort into"?
Never when you're bartending, right?
Yeah, I don't know that that's ever happened in my career. No, it happens. Not often, though. I do say that people are genuinely surprised. Like, all I need is a little bit of direction. Like, what do you normally drink? How familiar are you with bourbon? Like, where are you on your bourbon journey? Because an old fashioned, I think, is the biggest people pleaser. But if you're like brand new and you drink wine and beer, that might be too strong and too forward. So like a Gold Rush is a perfect cocktail for somebody who just wants a softer introduction. So all I ask is that people just talk to me. Like, that's the best thing you do to your bartender. If you don't like it, you're not going to hurt their feelings, but tell them why and give them the opportunity to fix it for you. We want you to have a good experience.
How many times do you get somebody show up and say, surprise me?
All the time, and it's my favorite request.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, I love it. I got a lot of tricks up my sleeve.
What tequilas are on the shelf in case I wanted to come and get tequila there?
We've
There's some
got
Ocho, right?
Yeah, we've got some good tequilas. We had to get rid of some stuff. We went a little crazy on the non-bourbon stuff just because, once again, we had free reign to do whatever we wanted. But we kept Siete Luguas, Fortaleza,
Good.
Casa
Been
Noble.
there. Been there.
Yeah, so there's some good ones.
Oh, yeah.
I love tequila. Tequila's my second love.
Oh, man,
Yeah.
I'm telling you. I was just there about a month ago, and that's if anybody thinks bourbon tours are great, you would love to go see a tequila tour. Trust me, it's fantastic. And it's a good excuse to go to Mexico, which is always fun for me. All right, one of the big things about BBC that I love so much is hospitality across the board. It's I swear, it's like home to me. Man, when I come there, I just enjoy it. It's not even half the time nobody knows who I am. It's not like I'm seeing you guys every time. It's the same level of hospitality, and I really like that. How has that been beaten into your heads by the owners that we're going to love on people and make them feel comfortable?
I mean, it's a top-down attitude. I mean, really, Mark Irwin, Dan Calloway, all of our Ingrid Gentry, our CFO. Whenever we do something, we do it together. Like, doesn't matter if you're a server or the CEO. Like, somebody's walking through our hallways and looks lost. Like, everyone in that building will take that as an opportunity to do something special for them, introduce themselves, or it's just a great thing to see. Honestly, if you go there, it's obvious. Like, from the first interaction you'll have with the hostess to whoever sells you a bottle in the gift shop, to whoever makes your cocktail, gives you a tour, holds a door for you. Like, we're all on the same team, and it's a very it's just a very specific, unique energy that you can feel when you're there, I think.
There is no, that's not my job mentality at Bardstown Bourbon Company. We're all one big family there to help each other, and I made some old fashions behind the bar the other day, and I have no idea how to bartend whatsoever. So there is no, that's not my job mentality. Like she said, everyone wants to help everyone to better the company. And
The head distiller was making my drinks. That's cool, right? I'm sure that was part of the cachet.
And they got them for free because I didn't know how to work the register, so that was the best part of it. So.
And you have the amazing Chef Stu Plush
Yes.
putting out fantastic
Excellent.
food to support all that great whiskey. I mean, that's got to be awesome to have that, to be able to go to a rick house for to age your stuff, to have booze that's right there that you can speak about, to have a restaurant behind it, to have a service crew that does it. You're lucky people, I think.
We are.
Yeah.
I love it.
Anybody have any questions for these youth? These three youths?
Okay.
How hard was it during the pandemic, being the premium bartender that you are, and not being able to bartend? Saw you run around town a lot, doing a lot of exercise during that time. How hard was it? How frustrating was it?
So the question was, how hard was it for Sam, being a premium bartender, not being able to ply her trade, as it were, during the pandemic?
I'll be honest with you, it was very hard. I really struggled during the pandemic. Like, I'm a people person, and it really put me in a weird position for the first time in my life where I wasn't constantly around people. And it's funny, like, we take things for granted, right? I was so often, at the end of the day, just exhausted and worn out from talking so much and being around people. And then when I didn't have that, it was off, and we tried to convert to doing a lot of things digitally over Zoom, and even did some stuff for the Kentucky Bourbon Festival last year on video, and it was recorded and put out, and it's so awkward. I don't know how to talk when there's not somebody in front of me to talk to. So it definitely put me out of my comfort zone. But I do think there was a silver lining to it. I think that it allowed us to get creative and find this outlet that allowed us to reach people nationally. Like there's maybe 50 people in the seats out there, but there's 1,000 people watching online. Like that's cool. That's good for us as a small brand that's trying to grow. There was some silver lining, but I'm just happy people are back.
Became a Zoom expert. So a lot of virtual tastings and things. But like Sam said, we were able to reach out to our audience. Many nights, me and Sam would have a virtual tasting for California. We might not like as much because it was 10 p.m. when it started here, but a little earlier over there. But we were able to send out some of our samples in sample kits and things in different bourbon societies and different liquor stores. And then Sam or me or Steve, anyone on the team would be able to walk them through for a tasting to get our product out to those people, being a new young distillery and young brand.
I think Bernie Lubbers had the worst one. Do y'all know Bernie from Heaven Hill?
Yeah.
He's the brand ambassador. He did a Zoom tasting in the Philippines. It was at 3 in the morning, 17 hours behind.
That's tough.
That's tough. Definitely tough on that one.
Yeah, exactly. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
So you're asking what would be a good cocktail to introduce to women? Same cocktail I would introduce to a man. Once again, I don't think being a woman is going to curate how I suggest what cocktail to have. I think it's going to be, do you drink bourbon straight? What kind of cocktails do you drink? If you drink vodka or tequila or whatever, what cocktails are you drinking? If you're a margarita person, I'm probably going to recommend a Gold Rush because it's got honey and lemon and it's kind of citrusy and fun. Or an old fashioned. Or if you're a bit adventurous and eccentric, my go-to cocktail, as is one of Steve's favorites, is a Boulevardier. And it's really easy to make because it's all ingredients that you buy. You don't have to make anything, juice anything, prepare anything. It's a delicious, elevated cocktail. So talk to me. If you want to know what cocktails to make at home, come find me at the trailer after this, and I'll talk your ear off.
Excellent. Anyone else? Thanks, everybody, for hanging on and listening to us and hopefully enjoying everything. I enjoyed it with these crews, with this crew from Bardstown Bourbon Company. Thanks, Sam Montgomery. Thanks so much, Nick. Nick Smith, the easy one to remember, and Dustin Reid. Thanks so much for taking time out on your Sunday off to spend some quality time with these people who love your products. See you around.
Steve.
Thanks for having
Appreciate it.
us.
Thanks,
Thank
Steve.
you. Have a good day.